this thing I found. Did you see this? This is the beta for YouTube. Okay, this is YouTube from 1998.
Is it?
Yeah, look. See? I just got it on eBay. I was thinking we could put it into Tandy and see what happens. See if this is actually going to run an offline beta version of YouTube.
That would have meant that YouTube was in development for a long time.
Turns out YouTube is actually a lot older than we thought it was.
Huh.
So let's just shove it in the machine and see what happens, shall we?
I guess so. Guess we have no choice.
What's the worst looking game of the year in 2021? This one should be easy.
Yeah, but there are a lot of options too.
Yeah, this one comes with 3.
Yeah, it's GTA Remastered. It's the one. It's the one that blew everyone away. It's the one that stole the prize.
This is
No
the one that
question
blew everyone
whatsoever.
away. This blew everyone away, including Rockstar.
I don't think Rockstar knew what was going on. It's that
Now
bad.
there's some leakers now claiming that because of the response to this, Rockstar has canceled like some more remasters. Like, I'm not sure if this is true, but the response to this has been less than warm because this game is hideous. It's the most outsourced looking thing I've ever seen in my life. It's so amateur. The remaster. It's 3 PS2 games. Like, people would have been happy if you just ported it without changing anything. I'm sure people would have loved it.
It doesn't.
But no.
It has more polygons, but it doesn't look any better.
Well, it looks way worse. I think. It looks way
some
worse.
Some textures, some things just look infinitely worse. Like there are some parts that are supposed to be fluorescent lights, but they just changed it to some like default Windows font. I think like it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it was done using AI, and they never went in to check if it was done properly. It's really bizarre sometimes.
Yeah. And on top of that, you have the old bump map with a new texture on top.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's funny. A character walking around with a bump map logo on their shirt, but the texture's different and doesn't match up with the bump map.
Mm-hmm.
That's...
Oh, and those characters that like have a different model with the same rigging, or like different rigging with the maybe it's the old animation applied to a new type of rig, and as a result their like shoulders are too low and it like slopes up into their neck.
Yeah, they walk around like Slender Man or something. Like,
yeah,
it's really strange.
There's this one character that has like really long fingers, and they just like they walk around with like the open palm GTA hand pose.
Maybe that character's skeleton had a prop in its hand originally.
Maybe.
And that's why it kept moving. That's why the skeleton kept extending beyond the hand, and they didn't think to check what it was. I don't know. I'm just spitballing. But
There's
anyway,
a lot of stuff that seemingly nobody had a look at before the game came out, and that's just insane.
My favorite mistake in that has got to be when you look at the mini map. Okay, there's an area in one of the GTA games in the PS2 where a character has a pool in the shape of the Rockstar logo, and you're supposed to be able to see the Rockstar logo on the mini map when you zoom in on this character's pool, but on the mini map, the logo is a star with a different amount of points than the Rockstar logo.
Yeah.
So this game gets the Rockstar logo wrong.
Uh-huh. The funniest thing for me is those giant bolts on top of a building.
Oh,
like
God.
They were upscaled, so that the edges were removed, and they're just like
it can't work.
They're circles now.
It doesn't work. It's a washer.
It's a washer.
It's
yeah.
no longer a bolt.
Uh-huh.
Holy shit. That's insane. Anyway, it has delivered a number of laughs, but it's also delivered immense disappointment because you're porting 3 classic games that I'm sure a lot of people want to have access to, right?
Mm-hmm.
On a modern hardware with a few modern amenities. I mean, what are people looking for? A better frame rate and a higher internal resolution. That's it. Right? And for what it's worth, I think the problems with this remaster outweigh any benefits you might get anywhere else. I think the old game just looks better. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
I don't want to deal with it.
It's not like GTA looks all that good in the
No,
first place,
they
but
did-
it's not
Yeah.
completely screwy. Like it looks correct at least.
The GTA, it was always ugly.
Mhm.
So if you just re-release it, people loved it then. They love it now. I think if you just didn't change the visuals at all, people would still be happy. No one ever cared that it looked like shit originally, right?
Yeah.
It's just not what people used to make fun of it, and that was part of the fun. But they at least had a style. They had a consistent style, the way things should look. Things didn't stand out like seeing an alien, like the way it works now. Walking around, then seeing a guy who's clearly a gorilla, that kind of thing. Anyway, it's kind of a disaster. GTA demastered. It sucks that it came out, and it sucks. What sucks the most is that the response to it was so shitty that we might not get more. You know?
Yeah.
They might not we might not get the 2D games. You know? We might not get some of those weird games that are locked on the DS.
Oh right, yeah.
There's some other GTA stuff that people can't get a hold of now that Rockstar probably wants to re-release, but maybe won't now. I don't know.
I'm just thinking of GTA 4. That GTA 4 might be trapped forever.
Yeah, a lot of games from that gen, they're just trapped in 7th gen prison or whatever it was. 6th gen, I can't remember. But
important games, you're just
yes,
gone.
I know, and I know a lot of people like GTA 4. It has a resurgence now.
Mm-hmm.
There's this huge fan base for GTA 4 again, who thinks it's the best. But, yeah, and it's sad that GTA Remastered anyway had to come out like this. It would have been cool to have the 3-pack of the 3 classic PS2 games on the Switch to go at a decent frame rate.
Yeah.
That I may have bought that, but now I don't know. Because at least make it run, because these games run like shit.
Right.
That's GTA Remastered, and it was the worst looking game or games of the year. what's the most rad indie game of this year?
Well, if we're talking rad, I think Cruelty Squad is up there.
Yeah, Cruelty Squad is the most rad game of 2021. This is a game seemingly by one person, one or two. And I just mentioned Deus Ex, by the way, but this is like a Deus Ex Lite. It's medium on the mechanics and heavy on the visuals and atmosphere. To create a very fun, arcadey feeling Deus Ex clone. I mean, it's calling it a clone is such a disservice.
Something like that,
But
yeah.
but I don't like it's in this weird genre, like where there's not enough games like it. Like they call it an immersive sim, but that name just seems stupid to me.
Well, it's not really immersive or a simulator.
I know it's like what is the name for it?
The way I look at it, you got tactical shooter on one end, and you've got immersive sim on the other. This is like as far towards tactical shooter as you can get, while still being an immersive sim. Just because
I feel immersed when I play it.
the only thing that makes it an immersive sim is that the levels are I guess like certain types of weapons have different properties that help get you around. That like their traversal mechanics. And
Yes.
you can talk to characters. You can't like converse with characters. You can't. Your character can't talk, but you can talk to characters, and that makes it an immersive sim.
Yeah, this is I bit the bullet on this game and I bought it, and I wasn't disappointed to have such a fun adventure in such a small file size.
Oh, it's surprisingly awesome. Like
Yeah.
it's got a pretty good number of levels, 15, and they're unnecessarily large. Like there's even levels oddly have these red herring spots where there's not much there, but they're just there for atmosphere. It's pretty unique.
It has interesting ways to change your difficulty by changing your character's status. Like you can be cursed and you can be divine and you can have death property. Like it's
the difficulty
really crazy.
mechanics, like I think without knowing you wouldn't know they were there in the first place.
It also has really funny secrets, and it's like intentionally difficult to figure out. Like if you play this completely without a guide, you would have to pay really close attention and talk to every NPC. It's one of those games. So it's very much, of the 90s, the way things were. Like they used to design games so that it would take you forever to figure it out.
Yeah.
Now, not so much.
Yeah, that's not to say that the game itself is convoluted. It's pretty straightforward, but
Yeah, your objective is always really straightforward.
Yeah.
But you can complicate it a lot if you want to.
That's what it's all about. That's the Deus Ex experience.
Yes.
It's about like
yeah.
You can gear up and just shoot this guy, or you could fly in from above the roof, smash in through a window, and throw a toilet at him.
Yeah. Or you could find the people swimming in the glass floor pool above like 10 floors, smash the floor and have them all fall to the bottom and die for no reason.
Yeah. The weirdest alternate route, I think, is like Mall Madness, where you can just go straight to the objective, and you gotta fight some like pretty strong like machine gun dudes, or you could like platform up into like this field above the building, and then go into some weird medieval tower where there's like this odd offshoot full of zombies that doesn't seem to have much in it, and then you can go like through this odd tunnel with like a some sort of office, and then going through the back and to get to the objective. There's a lot of mind-bending level geometry too, and like the use of textures is just total nonsense.
Yeah, it's intentionally confusing textures.
Yeah, it's really dreamlike.
Yeah, it's like textures that are trying to camouflage the direction you're supposed to go.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Never seen that before.
Mm-hmm.
Usually you're trying to avoid that, but this game like tries to use the textures to confuse you.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Well, that's Cruelty Squad. And it was the most rad, as in radical, indie game of 2021.
Speaking of games with lame combat, there's a little classic I tried this year.
This combat isn't lame. What are you talking about?
If you played the hit MMORPG FF14, there's actually a prequel to that game that came out. They, for some reason, it's called FF7. They just cut the number in half. I don't know what
they
that's
just multiplied
all about.
it by 2.
Yeah.
You get 14.
Instead of FF13, it's called FF7 for some reason. But it's not a meme. Like I thought it was a meme for years. Like I know I always enjoyed FF7, but gave it a replay last year and like with like an improved translation patch, and man, it's really enjoyable. Like it's kind of nice looking in this primitive sort of way. Like you can feel the effort in the pre-rendered backgrounds and and the character models, even though
oh my god,
even though it looks worse than any other like PlayStation Final Fantasy. It's just like there's something I like about it, and I like the industrial aesthetic too.
Mm-hmm.
Like we haven't seen it that industrial since.
Yeah, I know. It's
really
so grimy.
leans into it. Yeah,
it's really cool. It's the pre-rendered backgrounds. They're so amazing. Like that must have taken forever.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
because
it was the most expensive game at the time by far.
They had to be rendered in 3D, and then that 3D image had to be digitized in a file to run on the PlayStation. So he had to model everything, and then get that picture, and then have that on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
And like zillions of them.
Uh-huh.
Like
one for every little segment of the world.
What's remarkable about 7, I found, was that it's not comfortable with just good enough.
Oh yeah.
After 6, and they're doing their first 3D game, you would expect developers to just do just enough. Just get the game working in 3D, and that's enough.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't.
No, they did as much as they possibly could.
I know. They made this game like they were going to die.
Yeah. And they improved their ability to render like chibi overworld characters. Like those are pretty janky. Like those are infamously blocky. But
I look better.
Aside from that, like they had it figured out. It feels like they had it figured out for the most part.
I know. It's like 7. They immediately figured out how the next like 4 games were gonna work.
Yeah, like they
Like,
they had
'cause,
the pre-rendered
8
background.
yeah, that's right.
Like
I'm not just talking about that either. I'm talking about like just the gameplay,
yeah,
like how you go, how you like. It's kind of like, I know the backgrounds are 2D, but they don't feel like it.
hmm
You know what I mean? This is kind of like the way you play the game. It might as well be 3D
yeah,
because 10 works the same, but it has 3D worlds.
yeah,
It feels like they accidentally discovered how you're supposed to do a JRPG in that gen. You know what I mean?
mm,
And the next one, like the way you move from scene to scene, it's amazing.
yeah. And like I said, the combat's lame, but it's really satisfying, which is what's more
I know.
important. Because
It doesn't feel lame. I don't know how do you. It's like, because you're making materia combinations, right?
I say lame in that there's you can, if you need to heal and your healer has no MP, just take the healing spell and put it on your DPS guy and have him heal.
Yes.
And it's like, it kind of removes the point of classes because you can switch them out in between battles.
Yeah.
You can just like totally change someone's moveset in between battles, and like there's no resource management whatsoever.
It's
but-
I find the game satisfying in that, and not that lame in that the set pieces and the scenario are so fun. Like, meeting these bosses is this harrowing and amazing experience.
Yeah.
And fighting them is fun as hell. And I can't wait till the next boss comes up.
Oh yeah.
Like, and it's just
all
it's
the designs
fun.
are awesome.
Yeah, it's fun putting your materia combination that you came up with into use to just destroy shit.
Yeah. Yeah, like it when it's this punchy, it doesn't matter if it's balanced or not because you're just having fun anyway.
Yeah.
And it's
The
snappy
game runs
too.
really good too.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
you
it runs
get
on
into
the
a battle
PlayStation
quickly
good.
and out of a battle quickly. That's like extremely important.
Oh, it is. Yeah, that's what kills 9 for me.
Yeah, it totally killed 9 for me. Like I didn't make it that far into that game.
7, it just does the most right. I don't know how to, like, the more, like, I've went through every phase you can imagine as someone who's played every game in the series. Like, I've went through every single different permutation of fandom for this series, and I just keep coming out with 7 being the best. Like, I just keep coming out with it, and I can't beat it in my mind.
Yeah.
I played everything, and I can't beat this one. Like, I can't come up with one that's better.
Yeah.
Just all the way around better.
I think,
it's
like,
amazing.
there was a contrarian FF6 fandom for a while.
Oh,
that insisted that FF6 is better, and it might be. Like, depending on who you ask, it doesn't. Like, it's not a. Like, Moses didn't write down the FF games in order of goodness. So, like, it's flexible, but you can't just write off FF7. It's like,
I know,
it's still good, and it's totally understandable with this kind of tone and everything. This kind of like with these characters and the things they go through, why teenagers are so obsessed with it.
It's why I know why.
It's a really teenager-y story.
It hits like it hits all the correct notes all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all I can say about Final Fantasy VII. Yeah. So that was the best game you played 2021 that didn't come out that year. It's an old game now. But, I don't know, it doesn't really feel like it.
I mean,
I don't know why it doesn't.
Well, as long as the load times are fine and it looks okay, then no reason for it to.
And you got to play the new translation. So you got to see the game probably how my mind had to translate it for me in my mind. Because
the story
played
is a
the
lot
game-
easier to understand when you.
I played the game when it was kind of new when I was a kid, and it makes. I guess I took it for granted that it made perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
The game makes perfect sense to me, the PlayStation version, but that was just me, like, had my brain having the neuroplasticity of my brain evolving along with the game to morph it into a way that it made sense. It's like Miyazaki used to read those Western choose your own adventure novels, and he couldn't really speak English, so
he just
like,
sixth sense it. Like he uses
just
his third eye to read.
Yeah, and that's why Souls is the way it is, apparently.
Oh yeah.
Like, he just kind of had to just guess his way through it,
Oh yeah.
and it made sense to him. Do you ever read about that?
No, I never heard about that.
His early life.
That really explains where like why Souls is just like mind-bending nonsense.
Yeah, so I mean,
and
a developing brain.
FF7 has a reputation for being cryptic. I guess because people just like kind of subconsciously tuned out reading the bad translation.
Yeah, I never
was notoriously bad.
Yeah. I never saw it, like, I never ever saw the translation as bad or cryptic. I saw it as perfect and made sense. Because I was, like, 8.
Yeah, maybe you just accidentally learned a new language, like FF7.
And then when I play it again, my PlayStation version, it makes sense. It makes sense the way it made sense to me before. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But, anyway, that's Final Fantasy VII. Some of my videos.
Coke.
Now we're moving on. I'm about to talk to you about the best game I played in 2021 that did not come out in 2021. And that game is Star Ocean 4: The Last Hope. I played the HD remaster of this, the PS4 version, downloaded onto my PlayStation 5. I've been playing this Star Ocean series. I've played every game in it so far except for 5.
Oh yeah?
And I don't like any of them. Like, I kept playing them trying to find the good one because I really want to like it.
Damn it.
It has everything that I want, like, from an RPG, like, in setting and all that. It's this interesting sci-fi action space RPG. And 1, 2, and 3, you think you're going to be playing this fun game where you get to go to different planets, and you don't. The game starts off, oh man, where are we going? We're going to standard fantasy medieval world.
Oh no!
The first 3 games just keep doing this.
How could you do that?
Driving me crazy. I just hate it. And you can't take the ship anywhere in the first 3 games. And then finally, I played the one that previously, this is the one everyone hated the most.
Oh yeah?
And so I avoided it for so long. Everybody hated this one. I was like, okay, fine, I'll just try it. And it ended up being my favorite.
Okay.
Maybe I'm crazy.
Well, maybe since you didn't like the rest of the series, you enjoyed this one more because the fans don't like it.
Yeah, I keep playing this series and I keep thinking about it, and I don't like that. All these games they're just a slog. They're just so boring. But I got to 4, and in 4, you can finally take your ship where you want to go.
Oh.
You can finally go to these futuristic places. And the story is kind of like comprehensible.
Yeah.
For like the first time. And you can like, there's so much fun stuff in this game that I was so surprised by. Where you like, if you're playing through the story, and you need to take your ship to some other planet to continue the story, it takes a certain amount of time to get there, so you have to walk around the ship talking to everybody to pass the time. Like, it takes a realistically feeling amount of time to go somewhere. You can skip it. You can skip this, right? But if you choose not to, and you choose to stay awake on the ship doing stuff, you will get unique interactions with the characters that you wouldn't otherwise get.
Oh, really?
So there's like little bonuses for like doing nothing. It's really it's weird.
Oh,
but I mean, I beat the game and I immediately wanted to go back on a higher difficulty, but I couldn't because I had to play another game. But this game, I thought it looked good, it sounded good, it feels good, but it also it does kind of smell like the PS3 and 360. Like it's got those textures. Like it's got the you know the way games look back then, where they had like a weirdly good texture on a really shitty model.
Oh yeah.
You know how some of those games look like that, and then they try to cover it up with bloom lighting.
Okay.
It has the nasty, like that gen look.
Oh no.
Like that's the thing that kind of put me off a little bit, and because this is like a single A Japanese release, it runs like shit.
Yeah.
It runs bad. I swear to you. This game came out in like 2008, I think. And then it got remastered a few years ago for PS4. And then I'm playing that version on the PS5, and it still stutters.
That's weird.
I thought I was going to crash the game once. Like, it was running so bad, I was thinking about like stopping. I was like, whoa, Jesus. It feels like I'm going to blow up the PS5.
Is
so
the leg
bad.
hard coded in that case? It's like
it's
they
just
must
Japanese.
have programmed it in. Like
it's just Japanese single A games. For some reason, when you're single A in Japan, performance is at the absolute bottom of the ladder of importance.
Oh yeah.
Have you noticed that? I don't know why this is.
Bad.
They just don't care. I guess in Japan they don't see performance.
I don't
know. I don't know
maybe
what
they
is.
don't. Maybe they just rather, realize their vision instead of worrying about optimization.
I guess.
I don't know.
Anyway, for me, this game had a lot of fun moments, and the things I like about it is what everybody else hated, which is weird to me. But yeah. So it's another one of these games like Returnal that's for no one, but I really liked. Yeah, and I'm definitely looking forward to Star Ocean 6. I've been checking that out.
Oh yeah.
It looks a lot better than 5. 5 was even worse than 4 because 5 was so bad that the average person took it as a given that it was the final game in the series.
Oh yeah.
Because nothing could ever come out after it because it was that bad.
Huh.
Yeah, 5 has... You know how, like, in an RPG, when something's happening, the camera will move and, like, show a little cinematic scene of things happening?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, not pre-rendered, just showing the character do stuff.
Yeah.
Like, in 5, like, most of the game has the camera zoomed way out and doesn't have cameras to show what's happening.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, it's just, like, weird text.
So it's like
with the camera zoomed out. It's
PS1
really weird.
style.
Yeah, it's like that.
That's weird.
But yeah, ugh.
Yeah, you know what's cool though? That Game Boy Color game, Blue Sphere.
Yeah, Star Ocean Blue Sphere. That looks... I don't know if that was localized, but that's like
it wasn't.
This. Okay, man, that's like almost a tech demo.
Oh yeah.
Like it's like that game is like one of those keygen boys making the coolest thing they can make on the hardware.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful on the Game Boy Color.
It looks insane. Everybody look up a long play of Star Ocean Blue Sphere on the Game Boy Color.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like better than a lot of GBA games.
Maybe the series should have stayed on the Game Boy.
Yeah, I really want to play that game at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe if 6 does well, they can port Blue Sphere. I don't know. People are still waiting on a port of 2. 2 is still locked behind the PS1 and PSP. The Star Ocean 1 got a HD re-release on like modern consoles, but 2 didn't. So that's how I played 1. I played the re-release on PS4.
Oh, yeah.
People are still waiting on 2, and I played 2 on the PlayStation. I actually have it on the PlayStation.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently that's people's favorites, but I'm favorite 1, but I'm just kind of okay on it. I don't enjoy like 3D camera in a battle system with 2D sprites. I don't like that. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Remember those like early PlayStation action RPGs where I think Tales had this too, where the camera would move around a 3D environment, but everybody just had a 2D sprite.
Well, there was a time when Star Ocean and Tales were indistinguishable.
Yeah, I know. They're weird
like,
that they're like
for a few games they look the same, and then they sort of start.
Yeah, it's because they are the 2 games are like sister series to each other. It's weird, but I always thought Star Ocean was better despite not liking any of the games. It's the hardest thing to explain. Like, because I played Symphonia. People say, well, you're playing Tales. Well, you better play the best one. Play Symphonia. Like, and I played it and I beat it and I was just like, wow, this is so bad. Like,
yeah, I thought it was kind of lame too.
But yeah, you didn't even beat it though.
What?
Right? Did you beat it though?
Oh, I didn't get to the end, yeah, but I got pretty far. Okay. I just thought it was like, well, I gave up because I didn't like it that much.
I was blown away at, like you said, how lame it was. It's just lame. Like, there's just nothing. It's just like sad and disappointing, and nothing changes for the entire game.
I think it's just like nostalgia, because like I heard back in the day that when people brought up Symphonia, like that they thought it was the best in the series, they'd people would respond saying that Abyss is better.
Yes,
I don't know.
That. I might try Abyss, or that other one, like, what is it, Tales of Berseria? Or
I don't.
There's 2 other games that people like, and I may try them, but I don't know if I'm kind of soured on it. But there's some stuff in Symphonia that's so lame and so much of a buzzkill, but in Star Ocean 4 is just crazy shit happening every 5 seconds.
Yeah. There's a problem in my experience with the RPG fans not caring about combat.
Yes.
And like Symphonia has extremely lame button mashy combat, and I think people that like it just don't look past that.
I was blown away when I beat Symphonia and realized that nothing had changed for the combat.
Yeah.
The entire game. You didn't actually it felt like you didn't actually get anything new. I wasn't doing anything fundamentally new by the end of the game.
But the other games
should be.
Yeah, if the other games are like that, then I'm not really interested. Let's go back to Ys.
Yeah, that's right. Although we don't have Ys in space. what's the second best game we played this year that came out this year, that is 2021? But for you, what did you play that's your runner-up for Game of the Year?
Well, I didn't play a lot this year, mostly Souls stuff, Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3. But Deltarune Chapter 2 actually stood out to me. Because I think it's really starting to shape up into some, like, good. Like, I think,
Yeah, I
like,
heard people
it's
didn't like
becoming
the
less...
original Deltarune release.
These Toby Fox games are becoming, like, they always have the charm, right? And they, like, kind of, they rope you in, mentally. But they're, like, visually bland and kind of, like, they have the illusion of RPG mechanics, but they don't really go anywhere with it. Deltarune 2 is where this is starting to, like, they're starting to pick up the pace here. Like, they're starting to introduce mechanics that play into, like, the Undertale, like, meta gameplay. And it's starting to get interesting, and the pacing is speeding up. And, like, if it keeps going at this rate, it's going to turn into some, like we might see a resurgence of the annoying Undertale fandom at this rate.
Oh wow. So if you play the original Deltarune version, does your like save carry over?
Yeah, because
Okay,
like
that's good.
it keeps track of like your pacifism, whether you've been killing enemies or letting them go and stuff like that. And there's some characters that like if they show up in part 1, they'll show up in part 2, that kind of thing. But you can also start at part 2.
Okay.
And you can download part 2 on its own. It's that kind of thing. And there's
Do you
apparently
think,
going to be 7 parts.
Oh my god. I bet not.
Maybe not, yeah.
Usually when they announce a bunch of parts, that means you're getting like 3, 4.
I don't know. This is Toby Fox, though. Like, he gets it done.
I'm soured on the idea of, like, multi-episode versions of games. Like, I was skeptical for a second that there would ever be a Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2. I was starting to get skeptical.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm that crazy and that virulent against the idea of multiple releases.
FF7 Part 2, that's, yeah, I don't know. It's happening,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, it is. According to Square Enix, it's further along than even they expected.
Yeah.
Like, according to Square Enix, like, the development of, like, this and 16 are, like at light speed compared to what they used to be.
It's a bit relieving that there's apparently just going to be 3 parts to FF7 Remake, so... Or FF7...
Yeah.
The FF7 post-series, whatever this is.
Ugh.
Because part 2 isn't called Remake. But anyway, this
No.
isn't about that. What I'm talking about here is these Toby Fox games, I think they have this little special something that I think you can find in a lot of like indie projects that end up taking off. And that's like the humor it has is memeable, right? But it's not memeable in such a way that it uses memes, but it efficiently creates memes. Like when a Toby Fox game comes out, suddenly the internet is just flooded with dozens of like mini memes, and like on day one. Yeah. I think that has something to do with the way it's written.
Isn't it interesting how some things can just create memes?
Yeah, well,
it's how do you teach that?
These games are just so good at it for some reason. Like, there are more memes than there are like lines of dialogue in Undertale. It's insane.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to the second best game we played this year that came out this year for me. Okay, so this is the second best game I played this year that came out this year. In a sense, this is my runner-up for Game of the Year. This is Returnal on the PlayStation 5. You played a little bit of this.
Yes.
This is what amounts to a very fun third-person action platformer with, quote-unquote roguelike elements, where you progress to a certain point, die, and go back to the beginning. And I guess to have something like that looks this good and takes advantage of the PlayStation 5 to this degree, it's so bizarre. Like, it's very unique and interesting in that they actually got the money to make this, like, from PlayStation.
Yeah.
Like, it's the game. It's like no one, like, Zoomers will hate this because it's absolutely bizarre that you're playing an exclusive PlayStation 5 game that you would expect all the modern amenities in the game that Zoomers crave, like being able to just save anywhere and all that. But the game literally, you go back to the beginning of the game when you die, and the only thing that updates is like story cutscenes. So you like, there's no start menu in this game. I know. I think I pointed that out when you were here playing at that time. You just start the game. There's no start menu.
Yeah.
I said, look at this. This is crazy. There's no start menu in this game.
That is crazy. Yeah.
It's very bold. It's bold. And then I beat the game, and I didn't notice that it didn't have a start menu. Like, it didn't bother me. Do you need start menus? Like, and also on top of that, there's no way to quit the game.
Oh yeah.
You can't quick save. You can't quit to the menu because there's no menu. The game expects you to quit by pressing home.
Okay.
Like, it's so modern. I can't explain why is that.
Maybe that's the way to do it from now on. With the PS5's like higher load times, or not higher, but improved load times. Maybe that's the way to do it. Maybe you don't need that shit anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very. If you play Returnal, you'll note a lot of very bold and strange, lucrative choices that make you wonder how they ever got the money to make it look this good.
Oh yeah.
So it's a little bit like a Death Stranding. It's like this experimental, weird game that it knows what it wants to do and doesn't care about what the player thinks, and yet has this crazy budget. Like, it's like these things that you don't expect to see in the future.
Yeah.
Like, you don't expect Dangerous things to have a high budget. You expect Dangerous games to come from like some indie guy, right?
Yeah.
But
that's right.
So you would expect something that cost $1 billion to be really, really low risk AAA open world action survival game with crafting elements and user generated content and simultaneous asymmetric multiplayer and dragons.
Oh yeah.
And also guns.
Yeah.
And also it's Anthem.
Oh.
Just described Anthem.
Just release Anthem again, even though Anthem failed.
Yeah, was that the game that ended the quadruple A everything game?
Yeah.
Like the game where it's just
hopefully.
like we can't take any more risks anymore. So our investors are saying they want guns, they want loot, okay, they want third person action, okay, they want flying, okay, they want it in the future, okay, they want aliens, okay, we can do that. They want crafting, okay, we can put crafting things everywhere. Okay, they want it open world, okay, fine, and they want multiplayer, okay. And then what happens is every game is the same. When you do that. When you just trust the investors and you do everything that's safe, you're gonna get Anthem, and you're gonna get the same thing over and over and over and over. And over.
Now,
Right now, the new thing is like Overwatch, hero shooter, Fortnite clones that have the purple color scheme.
yeah.
Have you noticed a lot of purple?
Oh yeah, lots of purple. Lots of
Yeah,
lots
it's
of
safe now.
yeah, lots of bright colors.
Yeah,
Like with the and there's been a trend lately for characters that are punk like.
yeah, I know. Why is
lots
punk back?
lots of bells and whistles on their clothing and weird
why is this back?
hairstyles. Yeah.
Yeah, how about Cruelty Squad, where the guy wears green wraparound glasses and has pink hair?
Yeah, that's close enough.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm wondering, now this proposal, I like what I'm listening, I like what I'm hearing, but can we put blockchain technology into this somehow?
Blockchain?
Yeah.
Say no more.
Is blockchain the future of games?
Say no more,
Yes.
fam.
The answer
It's
is
already
yes.
in there. It's
Uh-huh.
already in. It's already in. I can't believe I forgot NFT blockchain shit when I
Yeah.
was explaining that earlier. That would have been the piece de resistance. But, yeah. So anyway, Returnal is a bizarre antithesis to this that I think everyone should play, but not many people are gonna like. Like, it's not for everybody.
Mhm.
And you have the luxury of being able to borrow it one day if you ever sell your soul and get a PlayStation 5.
Once
but-
I get a PlayStation 5, I think I'll be
Um,
buying it.
You pretty much have to now, because the last State of Play, they announced a whole slew of games that are just not coming to PS4.
Yeah.
So,
While I'm not super fond of roguelites, I liked what I played of Returnal.
it's
It's fun. It's tough.
it's like you can call it like a roguelite or roguelike. It conjures images of like RPG stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This is more like a hack and slash. It's
Yeah.
kind of it's
In a way, like the original roguelites, like Diablo was a hack and slash.
yes. So anyway,
So,
that's
who knows?
Returnal. So don't buy it. No one should buy this.
No one should
But
buy it.
if you find it for like $20 and you have a PS5, you should buy it.
Okay.
That's about all I can say. Don't be an idiot like me and buy it for like over $100.
I don't doubt for a second that it's reduced the price already.
Yeah, I was going to the store and it was my I was getting something for my birthday, for my own birthday, for money that I got, and I had to get something. I was either going to get this or Resident Evil Village,
Oh,
and they didn't have Village, so I said, fine, playing Returnal.
okay.
And I ended up really liking it and beating it. Interesting story twist for everybody out there. I'm not going to reveal anything. But that was Returnal. what was the best game of 2001? This is a retro award, right? We're far enough in the future now that 20 years ago had games coming out that we can remember. The best game of 2001 for the retro award, or whatever it's called in this, is Smash Brothers Melee.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been more than 20 years now, and we've still got, we've still got Hungrybox playing in tournaments, getting post-ironically screamed at by the person he won against, and getting grabbed on the fupa and coughing up blood, and
oh my god,
it's like nothing has changed because this game is just too much fun.
Welcome to Smash Brothers Melee. Holy shit!
It's every day, bro.
Nintendo is such a weird company to deal with for this stuff. Like, Nintendo hates, like, it doesn't want you to play their old games, ever. It wants you to buy or pay for access to their curated version of their old game.
In special cases, yeah.
Yes, they don't want you to, like Nintendo doesn't give a shit about Melee. They will just ignore it and pretend it doesn't exist. Like, Nintendo sees games, like, some games can replace the older game, and when they believe that, they really believe it. And they'll point a gun to their head, and no one at Nintendo will admit that Melee exists. It's crazy. Like, people have been screaming for HD Melee for so long, and then they just gave up. And then they did it themselves. And when they kind of tried to do it themselves, having their own, like, slippy back-end Melee online scene, Nintendo just, like, lost their minds. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Nintendo doesn't want you playing Melee and talking about it and potentially besmirching the name of Nintendo.
Yeah.
Right.
And the amount of care and love you put into the game's user experience and the fandom, that's directly proportional to how angry Nintendo's gonna get.
Yeah, it's because Nintendo realizes that it's not worth it to have a community around any game. Mm-hmm. It can only be bad. It can only end up with somebody doing something horribly illegal or something, and then Normie Mom will see it and then paint the entirety of Nintendo with that brush, right?
Yeah.
That's just what's going to happen. So Nintendo, possibly correctly, views it as just something that shouldn't exist, a community around anything.
Well, to be fair, like, the Smash Bros. Community is one of the worst for that. Like, in all of gaming, I think. It's just like Goblin Zone. It's like
I think it's
the scuzziest shit on the planet.
I think it's Goblin Zone because the game is over 20 years old, and it's just like there's no way to have anything new happen. So it's just like it's so moldy. It's hard to explain why it is that, like, Smash Bros. Instills fear in the hearts of other fighting game community people.
Yeah.
It's
yeah, like all the other fighting game people just secretly want it gone, but they know it brings views and stuff. And
yeah, and people who watch Smash Brothers will just leave for everything else.
Yeah.
And then
and when you do get Melee on your event, you'll suddenly have all these stinky people just like driving in like moving trucks full of CRTs and GameCubes.
Oh no,
because that's all they can use.
Yeah, just imagine, like, these Smash Bros. People hanging around 20 years later. Everybody else has, like, their game exists entirely on the cloud, and, like, they have, like, this slick portable monitors, and, like, they just need a dongle for things. And here comes Smelly Day people, and they're just, like, hauling a U-Haul full of ancient 70-pound CRTs. Alright, let's go. It's so much extra work. Just imagine how much they hate them. Mm-hmm. I have to do all this stupid shit just for this one game.
Yeah,
And then
and they like
how angry they are at Nintendo for not re-releasing it so that you could like play it on a sensible, sensible setup.
every venue that hosts Melee is like permanently marked. You can like it's like the Boston molasses flood. You can
Yes.
smell it for decades.
Oh my god, it's still sticky.
Yeah, it's still sticky.
Melee
still,
does
like-
stick.
Uh-huh.
Melee came out in 2001, 20 years ago, and it's stuck. Okay?
Yeah.
It's like raining. It's like you come out one day and it's raining pop.
Uh-huh.
And everything, years later, the whole world is still sticky from it.
And it earned it too.
Yeah, because the
It's
game is so good, and it's such an improvement over the original, that it's possibly the best sequel.
It's the best game I've ever seen that's been developed in a year.
Yeah, we've been
1
over this
year.
before. Yeah, I know we've been over this before, but Nintendo is really good at creating things in a second.
Yeah.
Usually, if Nintendo takes forever to design something, it's gonna suck.
Like
but,
they'll be broken. Like Melee is just completely fucked, but they'll be broken in a way that you can work around,
Yeah,
and
A lot
like
of
casual
Nintendo's-
players won't even
yes.
notice really most of the time.
yes, that's right.
Like you'll never
lot of-
have Nintendo will never make, no matter how rushed their games are, they'll never make a Cyberpunk 2077.
No,
The bugs will
Um,
never be that visible.
Nintendo makes good rush jobs. I don't know why.
Yeah,
Like,
maybe it's a
Brawl took
QA thing.
forever. Yeah, I don't know. The games that take forever usually suck from Nintendo,
Yeah,
but not all the time. And they are really good at just rushing shit. Like, Melee is such an improvement over 64. It's just crazy, and it's still fun, and it's versatile. I still think the game looks good, even.
hmm
Like, I still enjoy the look of the game when I play it. I love the adventure mode. It's so you can beat it so fast that it's so fun to just pop it in and play it. I still do it like today.
yeah,
The trophies are so fun. Like the trophies were kind of like Wikipedia for Nintendo before we had that. Kind of.
That's right.
Like before
It's-
before people were reading it, like it was like you could. I learned so much shit about Nintendo properties from the trophies.
right.
Right? Because they had a brief description in them. Nowadays, spirits or whatever don't say anything. You can't actually learn anything from it,
hmm
But
Also,
yeah,
when
they
there's
have
like,
trophies.
I think like the rarity of certain trophies was pretty well balanced, because I mean it does take like I know I still don't have all the spirits. It's not really a fair comparison, but just comparing it with like trophies in the previous games, or I mean in Smash 4 and Brawl, they were a little like less sought after,
Mm.
just in my experience, because like
Yeah.
they had like those trophies that you could only unlock in event mode, those trophies you could get like for completing certain challenges and stuff like that, and it made it like it made them feel a little rarer.
Yeah. I wish there was some way that modern Smash games could act like Nintendo encyclopedias like the old ones did.
Yeah,
So that like kids can like look at games they wouldn't know about. Like
mhm.
Melee, like Smash Brothers Melee, like that's how I found out about like Fire Emblem. And how I found out about like Custom Robo.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Remember that trophy for that? Like before anyone had seen this shit.
hmm
That's how I learned about this shit, and then eventually these things came to the West. But you just can't. We can't have Melee again, nor can we have the original Melee re-released. Okay,
Yeah, that's
it's
right.
over.
Never.
So that's 2001's best game, Smash Brothers Melee. I have a feeling that the next few retro awards are going to be for games that are considered like really good, Like, isn't it weird how, like, the 2000 was Deus Ex,
Mm-hmm.
and this is Smash Brothers Melee, and it's gonna just get crazier and crazier from here on.
Yeah, that's right.
What's the overall worst game of the year?
Well, you know,
This one's kind of mysterious.
yeah, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but I have a text file open in front of me that says Balan Wonderworld.
Yeah, this game is the worst game of the year simply because nobody can pronounce it. Everyone I've ever seen who tried to pronounce it called it Balan Wonderland.
Yeah.
Why isn't it called Balan Wonderland? This game has been disowned by the players and has been disowned by Yuji Naka, which is kind of sad.
Yeah.
Yuji Naka has more or less given up on it and has more or less thrown shade at Square Enix for it as well. He's basically said that Square Enix forced him to wrap it up and just, like, ship it out before it was done. Now, I don't know, I mean, it's easy to complain after the fact and throw blame at people, right? Like, I don't know how much of this is Yuji Naka's fault.
Yeah.
I know some of these old-timey game developers are actually secretly crazy. Like, it happens, and it turns out that they're like good at one thing. They're not a director, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it turns out that they're actually really good at, like, one certain thing. Yuji Naka was a really good programmer, and he was ostensibly a director or the director for Sonic, and I mean, we all know what happened with Sonic, on the Dreamcast and after that. But there was also Knights on the Saturn, which people like and I liked, and was nifty and looked cool and sounded cool and had that style. It has, like, the Yuji Naka, like, Sonic pizzazz.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's hard to explain what it is, but Balan Wonderworld has it. It has the pizzazz.
It does, yeah.
This feels like a Yuji Naka joint, but it's also completely psychotic.
Well,
This is probably the best worst game of the year we've had. Like,
yeah.
If you look at all the worst games of the year that we've had through all these award shows, this is probably the most innocent of all of them.
Right. I mean, well, we played the demo and kind of liked it, right?
Yeah, we kind of liked it, but then reviewers were saying that that's the whole game. There's nothing more.
Yeah.
The game is one button, and all the suits do the same thing.
Yeah.
And the entire game the mechanics are completely inexplicable.
And, like, there's the dancing, too.
Yes, there's
the dancing is inexplicable.
The freakish, like, I mean, you're never gonna see a farmer break into a dance with this otherworldly alien character who looks like he's about to kiss him.
Mm-hmm.
That's never gonna happen again.
But, like,
Balan Wonderworld is never gonna happen again.
The weirdest thing to me is, like, the characters that are just dancing and in the world, and when you walk towards them, they fade away.
It's like a...
Like, I said this during our playthrough. It was like, it feels lonely for some reason.
Yeah, it's
like
Wonderworld.
whatever emotion that's supposed to inspire, it doesn't seem to work.
Yeah, Balan Wonderworld, it smacks of like uh, a movie that you barely remember seeing on TV,
Uh-huh.
and it's like you have to fill in the blanks
Yeah,
because there's so many lapses in reason in the game that you have to like imagine your own fun. It's very odd. It's never going to happen again. So I'm interested in getting it on an extreme discount
oh yeah,
just to
maybe.
see this insanity. It's like I said, I mean, it speaks to how okay 2021 was. If this is the worst game, like it just kind of has to win the worst game of the year. But that's only because there was nothing immensely disgusting this year
Mm-hmm.
in terms of overall gaming. Like, I mean, there's worth looking, right? But worst overall is more than just looking. And Balan Wonderworld, it looks cool, but it's so lonely and canned. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's weirdest. It is without a
Well,
doubt the weirdest game on this
yeah,
list today.
there's this narrative. I don't know if it's true or not, but there's this word going around the street that the game was like the team was unexperienced, and usually not knew this. So he said, to take it easy and make something simple and easy, like a Kirby or something. And they just went too far, and they had this baby game. They end up with this like preschool game, Balan Wonderworld.
I've heard people say that like Balan Wonderworld is like it's it's for people that aren't even born yet. Like it's like it's like Kirby is for like toddlers, and this is for like if Kirby is for toddlers, Balan Wonderworld is for like a fetus. Like
Yeah, yeah.
It's absolutely like
It belongs in the womb.
it's like buying paint by numbers and then scanning it and then using the fill tool. Like
Yeah.
it's like that.
That's a good analogy, yeah.
I've never done that, but now I'm thinking about it. Go buy
It's
like those big paint by number. I used to have those when I was a kid, and I hated them. Remember that? Did you
it's
ever have that when you were a kid?
Yeah, yeah. It's like cheating in tic tac toe.
Yeah, feels anything you do in Balan Wonderworld probably feels like you're cheating at hopscotch. Like it's very there's nothing to do.
Yeah.
And from what I've heard, like that everything we've seen is the good parts. Like there's nothing else going on in the game. There's nothing else really cool to get. There's only one button to do everything.
Yeah.
Just like Sonic Adventure 2. That kind of had that too. Had one buttonism.
Yeah.
Remember in Sonic Adventure 2, in the Chow Garden, how you'd accidentally kick them all the time?
Yeah,
Because they just wanted the game to have one button for some insane reason.
Well, all the Sonics always had one button, but that's until they added this Chow raising minigame where suddenly that becomes a problem.
Sonic Adventure 1 makes use of multiple buttons in a pretty good way, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Because it has like the Lightspeed dash thing that you gotta charge.
Yeah,
It's a different button to charge it. So technically Sonic Adventure 1 has to have more than one button. But Sonic Adventure 2, you want to have one button. I guess Yuji Naka likes his one button. That's Balan Wonderworld, not Wonderland. And when you collect everything in that game, you get nothing. So
yeah, that's right too.
Our game of the year, though, is Metroid Dread.
I wonder why.
Yeah, what else can be said about Metroid Dread? Well, this year didn't have a lot of amazingly strong contenders, but Metroid Dread, I'm confident, would be a strong contender against anything else that could have came out. Because Metroid Dread is really good. Metroid Dread is like Mercury Steam getting a second chance after getting their foot in the door with Samus Returns to make their own original game, and it ended up like really, really good.
I had my doubts that it was actually Dread the first time. Like I was in denial about it.
Yeah,
but it turns out it's actually, this is what they were trying to do back on the Wii, but they couldn't get it out.
I remember seeing, I think it was in Metroid Prime 3, I think, there was this log entry you could read somewhere where they were talking about Metroid Project Dread.
Yeah, it was supposed to come out back then, but
according to the developers, the original impetus for this game is multiple generations old, and the development was started and stopped like 3 times because they couldn't get certain things working right.
Yeah.
And now they finally thought they could on the Switch, and I don't know, it could have been hardware differences or just differences in understanding how to program things. But
I had to think about this, and I think it might actually be the speed. Like I think they wanted Samus to move fast in this one, and maybe they didn't have the right load times on the Wii, and they couldn't actually, even though it's a 2D, maybe AAA or AA style game, they couldn't get it to load at Samus's movement speed.
I was thinking for a while.
Maybe that's the case. I don't know.
I was thinking it had to do more with a design thing, and they couldn't figure out how to make the Emmys work. Like, what I was thinking was they couldn't figure out a balance between Emmys stalking you and you being able to freely explore. Because being able to freely explore at your own pace is key to Metroid. But they also wanted to have an Emmy chasing you.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you do both? And I think maybe originally they had an Emmy chasing you through the entire game. And that just didn't playtest well.
Yeah, I thought about that.
And then they had to reiterate and iterate on it so many times to find the right balance. And I think this game is perfectly balanced. I think Metroid Dread has just the right amount of Emmy zones to keep you wondering about it.
Yeah.
I think.
I don't think they could have just put an Emmy in the overworld. I think
yes.
That's like a...
I think, wouldn't you be inclined to think you could do that if you were a developer and then find that it went wrong?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think they couldn't... I don't think you could do that without, like...
No, I don't think you could either.
Because, like, you have to... Say you have to be at a certain spot, but there's just an Emmy around that area. What are you supposed to do? Just wait? Wait for it to leave? Yeah,
but Metroid Dread solves this because Samus is very fast.
Yeah.
And the Emmys operate in designated areas. And you have the opportunity, when you get to the next Emmy area, to play around with the new skills you've developed.
Yeah.
To see how you can screw with them. Like it's kind of like an Emmy room is kind of like a way for you to test all the new skills you've gotten for Samus since the last Emmy room.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of like surprisingly intuitive design ideas. Like it trains you subconsciously to do things. It honestly, every time I think of Metroid Dread, I think of Half-Life 2. This game reminds me a lot of Half-Life 2 because in Half-Life 2, a lot of what they do to train the player to do things is subconscious.
Yeah.
And a lot of the level design feels non-linear, but there's mental cues put in there to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
This game it has such a pace
full of that
to it.
shit. Like
Metroid Dread has such a smooth, buttery pace to it.
Oh, it's perfect. Yeah.
If you're like paying attention, you should be able to seamlessly get through the entire game. and feel like you were in control the entire time.
Uh-huh.
Kind of like in Half-Life. But, like, for example, it'll give you an item that you need to beat an Emmy, okay? So an Emmy is weak to only this item. But the door will lock behind you, and in order to get out of the room, you have to shoot the door with this item, okay? And the shape of the door looks exactly like the shape of an Emmy's head.
Yeah.
You notice that? It's
Yep.
to train you to when you see an Emmy's head like that, you should shoot it.
Uh-huh.
So
and
it doesn't have to,
instantly
like...
know when the Emmy's
I know,
walking
yeah.
towards you, and the camera's sort of tilted so that it's facing
Yeah.
the Emmy's face. And the Emmy's head is looking exactly like that door. It's like,
I know.
shoot the head, obviously.
It's great.
Yeah.
And the whole game is full of stuff like that you don't notice because you're not supposed to notice.
Uh-huh.
It's the whole game. It's so slick, and it feels like such a. It's like an ice cream cone or something. It's very, like, it's melty. It's sweet.
Yeah.
It goes away fast, but it's such a fun experience, and it just feels cold. Like, the game feels like it's cold. Like, it feels like cold, metallic, misty, alien world with Samus wearing cold-looking uniforms.
Mhm.
Or suits, I should say. You notice that?
No,
game has
not
this-
that exact thing, but I know what
The
you
game
mean.
has this blue, cold, like, frosty feeling.
Yeah, but
The way things look in the cold.
if it's cold and buttery, that's
I don't know how to... Yeah,
That's not
that's
the
why I
right.
said ice
That's
cream.
not the right comparison, because
Everybody
this
knows
is way
that,
more smooth than cold butter.
Everybody
this is like
knows
warm
that...
butter.
Yeah, everybody knows that frosty plus butter equals ice cream.
I'm more a fan of Granny Cream's hot butter ice cream,
Gra-
where you pour hot butter over the ice cream and mixes together
Ugh.
into soup.
I've never thought of that before. Hot butter ice cream.
That's from Hypnospace Outlaw.
Oh, I didn't play that whole thing yet.
Oh yeah.
But I've been looking at it for like a few months now, thinking about when to buy it.
That's a pretty neat game too.
Definitely thinking about buying it. I don't know if I'm gonna get it on the Switch or. Is it good to have the mouse?
I don't know. It might work on the Switch. It's not like complicated. You'd like lose a little bit of time moving the mouse around, I guess. But
Yeah.
I'd say since it's a simulation of the internet, it'd be better to have a mouse just for the feel of it.
I think Metroid Dread. It succeeds. I think it succeeds visually more than people give it credit for. I think the game actually looks like really good.
Yeah.
It has a little bit of style to it. I think it's just right for a 2D Metroid game. Like, it doesn't look completely realistic. Like, it doesn't look like physically based rendering, cool shaders looking, right? Like, it looks plasticky, but it really pops. It's got a high contrast. You
Oh, I
never
think,
really
like,
lose anything.
the backgrounds are like extremely detailed.
Yeah,
And they kind of do something interesting where some of it's geometry and some of it's painted.
Yeah, it's modeled. It's well modeled and well crafted without looking like without like textures confusing you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it has a detailed, it looks like the best Flash cartoon ever.
Yeah, I guess that's one way
and
to put it.
That's I know that's a weird thing to say because I
Uh-huh.
tend not to like the way they look, but I really like the way Metroid Dread looks. Sounds very cool. It's got a very atmospheric, haunting sound to it. If you're just blasting the sound while you're playing,
Yeah.
and it hits the same story beats you would expect a good Metroid game to hit, in that it kind of doesn't have a story. It just has scenario that you unfold as you play.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you just learn more about an interesting bad guy, learn more about interesting lore,
Uh-huh.
and it knows exactly when to get the hell out of your way.
Oh man, I think the story's perfect. Like
It does. It really.
it's got a simple. It's got like the simplest story ever, but it's presented so damn well. It's just like
Yeah, it's how you do a story for
really
Metroid.
invested in like the there's like 3 cutscenes in the entire game, and I was like,
Yeah, I
what's
know.
gonna happen?
I know you want to see what the hell's gonna happen because it's
Uh-huh.
presented so well.
Yeah.
And it's just like they know, like it's just I don't know how to explain it. It's like this game is psychic. When you play this game, you'll realize that it feels like it stops you. The flow of the game only stops at like the exact moment where you want it to stop. You just don't know it yet. It's hard to explain.
It's like
It gives you the
psychological
exact
manipulation.
it gives you the exact amount of exploration that you need per gameplay chunk,
Uh-huh.
and it gives you the exact amount of confusion you need, and
Yeah.
it gives you the exact amount of puzzle difficulty.
Something that I was
Um,
glad about is it really didn't hold back with the world design.
No,
Like it's got those walls that are marked that you have to shoot. And,
yeah, and it's got some mind-bending puzzles that you look at. It has the Metroid-style puzzles that you look at and you just immediately give up because like there's no possible way I can do this.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then you
yeah.
come back a few hours later with new thinking,
Uh-huh. It's full
and
of
you're
that.
like, "Oh, I get it now. It's obvious." And I'm saying this as someone who's played every game.
Yeah.
Like,
Well-
so if it's confusing me, that's a good thing.
This game has new tricks too. Like there are
Yes.
a lot of the almost every single upgrade you end up using like all the time.
Yeah.
That's what I like too. Like they're all movement like upgrades and like they're when you get a power upgrade, it replaces your previous power upgrade.
And this game has like it has melee, but it has just the right amount of melee to where this still feels like a shooting game.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It doesn't overstay its welcome, the melee
Mhm.
mechanics.
Yeah, it's like it's a hell of a lot smoother than Samus Returns. Not that Samus Returns was all that bad.
Yeah, Samus Returns. I went back and played it, and it's pretty. It's chunky, but you can see that the developers knew what to do.
Oh
with that
yeah,
game.
they like really.
They just needed an opportunity to do what they wanted on less limited hardware,
Uh-huh.
and it's an amazing act of foresight on behalf of Nintendo to figure that out.
Yeah, yeah. Like this is the second time. This is the second time Nintendo like lapped up this random Western developer to make Metroid. And it worked
Yeah,
out
just
great.
allow a risky and untested Western developer to make Metroid,
Yeah,
and it's worked twice. That's so weird.
I know. It's like they got. It's like they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, it's because I think the Japanese branch of Nintendo has admitted to themselves that they don't know what made Metroid good. I don't think they know because
Oh, yeah.
typically Metroid games actually sell bad in Japan.
Hmm.
It's like typically not something that Japanese people enjoy. I'm not sure why, but now you can see why Japanese businessman number 8,912 would immediately just dump Metroid as a
Yeah.
brand because, well, it doesn't work in Japan, therefore it doesn't exist, and they would just like throw it in the fireplace.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But it's like it's like Sonic Team allowing fans to make Sonic Mania. You just have to have a certain amount of humility, right?
Right.
And I think Nintendo finally just with Metroid had the humility finally to just say we don't know why this is good. We don't know why Western fans like Metroid. We don't understand it. So obviously if we don't understand that, we can't make it. So let's just let Retro Studios make Metroid Prime, and let's make eventually we'll allow Mercury Steam to make Metroid 2D Metroid games, right? So
Hmm.
I'm not sure if Retro's coming back for Prime 4. I hope they are.
I
But-
think. Well, they said they scrapped the project and gave it to Retro, right?
Yeah.
Or how that's
I have a
going.
feeling Metroid Prime 4 is still a ways to go.
Yeah, I trust that they'll come up with something though, because they instead of scrapping Dread, they actually like, even though it was a different developer and everything, they they still release Dread eventually.
Yeah, I guess if there's a nugget of a good idea, Nintendo won't let it die, maybe.
Yeah.
If there's something in there that's interesting. Like, I think with Dread, it was probably the Emmys.
Yeah.
Like, there was something interesting about that, and it finally came to fruition.
But also, if there's, like, no matter how many tries it takes and how many times the project changes, if there's a 3D Metroid, it's going to be called Prime 4.
It has to be.
Regardless of what it is, so...
Yeah. I have this suspicion, and I'm kind of worried about it, that Metroid Prime 4 is going to end up as a launch title on new Nintendo hardware.
Maybe.
I'm going to hate that, because I have to buy it. I'm going to buy it anyway, but, there's always this inkling that you want to get the most out of your consoles. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So there's always this disappointment in my heart when I realize that this new game is going to be on new hardware. I've gotten a lot of use out of the Switch, but
yeah,
it just feels good wringing a little bit more juice out of it.
Yeah.
Even though it's very old hardware. It's very old. You're still getting use out of the PS4, I think, right?
Yeah, sort of.
You must have been you must have been happy with your purchase there.
Yeah, I got plenty of PS4 games.
Holy shit. Yeah, PS4 and Switch, they're still going.
Yeah, they're still ticking.
It's still good.
Oh, yeah. As long as it doesn't explode. I think we're going to be dealing with the Switch for a couple more years at least, because we got Breath of the Wild 2 coming out.
Holy shit. Just think about the fact that the Switch has been out for 5 years, and we still got Breath of the Wild 2 and Metroid Prime 4 coming.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild 1 was the launch game. I think Breath of the Wild 2 is going to be one of the last things to come out.
It's going to be the unlaunch game.
Yeah.
Where they de-launch the system with the game. Alright, we're having a de-launch party for the Switch. Gather around.
Yeah.
We're throwing it in the garbage. They should have had actually, now that I think about it, wasn't Breath of the Wild 1 the de-launch party for the Wii U?
Oh, yeah. And Twilight Princess, too. That was on GameCube and Wii.
Holy shit.
What are they doing with Zelda?
As Zelda games take so long that they end up being de-launch titles for old consoles. It's
starting to get to the point where they're wasting resources on Breath of the Wild 2 that could have been spent on a new Zelda.
Yeah.
It's starting to... you think when they're going to release, a sequel to a Zelda game, it's going to be like Majora's Mask, and it's going to come out in a decent amount of time.
How did it take so long?
I don't know.
It looks like a redress of Breath of the Wild. It's like, are they wondering? Is Eiji Onuma wondering how the hell they made Majora's Mask in 2 years?
Yeah. How did they make Majora's Mask in 2 years?
How did we do that? And moreover, how did we make Smash Bros. Melee in 2 years?
Oh, yeah. Holy shit. Just barely is the answer. They must have, with Melee, you think they must have knew what they were doing, every single step of the way.
Imagine developing something and not hitting a roadblock ever.
Yeah. Crazy.
Well, that's Metroid Dread, and it's our game of the year. And not without reason. It shouldn't be thrown off as this random 2D game. Okay, I know Zoomers are probably gonna see this 2D platformer and be like, well, that's not a real game.
Oh, everyone goes through that phase.
I know. Everyone does.
It's inevitable.
But this is Metroid Dread. It's the game of the year for 2021. It's amazing that it came out.
Oh, yeah.
And it's such a slick and fun experience. It's interesting that I would recommend this to people who have never played the series and to veterans. Mm-hmm. So it has to be doing something right if it's for everybody. It somehow works for everybody.
Yeah.
Lots of twists and turns. Lots of interesting things happen. Just the exact right amount of dialogue. And we get one line of dialogue from Samus for the first time. I think this might be the first time someone has spoke Chozo.
Yeah.
Like a human has spoke Chozo or something. So that's kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The game is kind of interesting. And what's just to wrap it up, I'd say the most frightening thing about Metroid Dread is the fact that now somehow this bonus game that came out to tide us over until Metroid Prime 4 is now like a challenger to Prime 4. Like, everyone's wondering, will Prime 4 be this good?
I don't think of it like that. I thought of I saw Samus Returns as a tied over game, but this one's definitely like a main entry.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's Game of the Year 2021. And we did it from the comfort of the YouTube 1998 debug room.
Yes. If anyone's watching this in the future, which kind of creates a time paradox since we're reviewing games in 2021, but I hope you have a fine day.
Yeah, it's 1998 here, and we've gone back in time by 1 year with the magic of this large floppy disk, the YouTube 1998 beta that I found at a flea market, I believe, and we put it in our Tandy, and somehow we're magically transported away, whisked away, if you will, to an alternate dimension where YouTube is in a beta form, and we're physically inside it. Yeah, I for one welcome the oncoming of the 1998 beta YouTube revolution.
Well, it's better than Web 3.
Yes.
At least we're not like downloading weird shit to a blockchain.
At least we're not in the cloud.
Yeah, at least we're not in the cloud.
I like being here on the couch in the debug room.
Yeah.
In 1998.
At least we're
in
not
a beta version of YouTube.
At least our voices aren't AI generated.
Yeah, at least.
Not for now, anyway.
Well, let's hope we don't get a strange virus on our Tandy.
Well, that's always a possibility.